Before Wise, I was consulting for Ogilvy as part of one of their performance marketing agency doing SEO. At some point, I decided to join kind of a startup. There was an intern when I joined doing SEO, but no one did a lot before that. At the time, there was no program. It was the time when we started to launch markets. Back then, it was just a UK focus. Obviously, we transferred to Europe. We had to figure out what the SEO program was going to look like because I had very big plans for them.
Want to attract and convert more leads? Want to learn how digital PR, branding, and SEO can establish and build your brand identity? Welcome to the Market Movers Building Brands and Links with Linkify podcast. We answer these questions and help you ramp up your brand visibility and credibility. Let's cut through the noise and make your business the talk of the town. We're your hosts, Nick and Chris. Let's get this show on the road.
Welcome to the Market Movers podcast. Today, I am super excited to be talking with Fabrizio Ballarini, Head of Organic Growth at Wise. Welcome to the show, Fabrizio.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thank you.
It's great to be talking to you. Wise is actually our bank, so...
That's good. That's good.
All right,
I don't have to sell you the product. Very good.
Yeah. So you were one of the first SEO hires, or maybe the first SEO hire at Wise, which was at the time TransferWise. Is that right? Why don't you tell us about what it was like in those early days?
Yeah. Before Wise was around 2015. I was consulting for Ogilvy as part of one of their performance marketing agency doing SEO. Then things got really slow at some point with some of these corporate clients, and I decided to join kind of a startup. It was already Series C at the time. There was someone before me. There was an intern when I joined doing SEO, but no one did a lot before that at the time. But actually still to date, majority of Wise growth is thanks to word of mouth. Similar to you guys saying to your friends, hey, why don't you use Wise as well? So at the time when I started, in terms of SEO, we only had brand traffic, which is still the case today, which is still very strong. There was no program. It was the time when we started to launch markets. Back then, it was just a UK focus. Obviously, we transferred to Europe. And we had to figure out what the SEO program was going to look like. Together with me, there were already 3 developers that by accident were hanging around in marketing because they built the attribution model and some of the analytics. And luckily they were there because I had very big plans for them compared to maybe other performance marketing team that were not planning to use them that much. And then early into this, probably early 16, someone joined me to help me build the editorial side of things. It was actually an ex-colleague from the agency that through a WhatsApp text, I convinced him to, hey, why don't you also switch side? We're gonna have fun, and eventually it was quite a lot of fun. We can go in detail if you want on what is Wise SEO today, maybe, or generally how we run organic today. But yeah, the early days was pretty much a couple of people. The website was quite simple. We had a super well optimized homepage with the calculator that was allowing you to send money. On top of the homepage, there were just a couple of help center articles, similar the type of FAQ content that you generally have, and probably a couple of blog posts on the blog, not even written for SEO, mix of PR and other activities. So we literally had a blank sheet to start from. The only advantage that we had, probably compared to starting completely from zero, is that Wise was already a few years old. And we already had quite a lot of traction in the media in UK at the time, probably the most popular fintech at the time, and the one trending the most. We had some advertising spend through the investment that we had. So it was not a completely brand new domain, but in terms of SEO, there was not a lot going on, right? At least when it comes to generic performance, right? There was just brand traffic. But our job over the time has been the one of building the non-brand traffic. To date, we don't reward the SEO team for any brand query. Sometimes some people, they end up covering brand, but we do it just because it's is a sensible idea. We try to obviously rank for generic keywords, or in general, like let customers that don't know about Wise find out that Wise exists and why should they be using Wise. I think that's quite challenging in our industry compared to maybe other industries where it's quite obvious that you have to Google hotel and flights if you want to go on holiday. If tomorrow you were to rebuild Booking.com or Expedia, you would have like a quite gigantic search demand to build your landing pages on at the time. But to some extent, even today, the search demand for transactional money transfer and some of these cross-border money queries is not a lot. And this is mostly because banks over the years and providers have not been as transparent with the customer, letting them know that this was costing them something, and therefore they ended up, not knowing that they had a problem, and which led to people not searching, right? So if you don't know that something costs money, you don't search for an alternative. If you know that you're being charged for the electricity bill, you're gonna look how to switch. So I think our job has been over the last almost 10 years now. It's like I'm at Wise since 9.5 years. It's been to basically try to find a way to intercept user so that they could discover that they were getting charged and they were getting fees, and probably not just that, right? Like our service is now instant for most of the route and most of the customers, right? So there's a lot of benefits to it beyond just the price. But obviously, one of the primary reasons why people switch is because they see the bill and the bill is high and they switch. In our industry, most of the people tell you that sending money to France or Germany is free, and then you don't even think about it. You don't Google. So we do a lot of long tail query. We do a lot of stuff that generally you wouldn't be doing because it's really top of the funnel, but we do it because it's essential to educate the customer early in their journey, as opposed to just doing the last mile comparison exercise, when you're ready to shop for a provider.
Oh, that's awesome. So, but before we get more into the current SEO strategy for Wise, what were those early days, those like first sort of initiatives that it sounds like you had a pretty blank slate, a couple of blog posts, lots to work with, I'm sure. Were you overseeing the name change and the domain switch from TransferWise to just wise.com? How did all that look?
Yeah. That came significantly later than us starting SEO, right? So we became TransferWise we became Wise from TransferWise in 2021. But before that, we had many years of doing SEO, and basically the early days of that initiatives were revolving around mostly two areas. I was working with engineers on the platform and product, so we had to build our CMS, we had to build our application to run landing pages, calculators, directories, anything on that side. So I was in charge of in the day-to-day of building that aspect, and then working in my team, there was someone that was working on the editorial side, and throughout the years we have continued that investment. They have different roles within the growth that we have, but this is how we develop the site. Obviously, the two activities are quite different, right? The reason why you will see millions of pages on wise.com is because some of our product engineering work has, build applications and landing pages that are very URL intensive in terms of like how they cover the search query, as opposed to maybe the editorial side where, we scale that activity with writers and editors and creating content for our audiences over time. Both, they are quite impactful. I don't think that, despite maybe the technical work being slightly more scalable, slightly better investment, they're both valuable to do. Fast forward today, we have many people working on both area of the game. And then probably back to the rebrand in 2000, before the 2021, or a few years earlier than that, we have launched multiple products. Wise was not doing just money transfer anymore. We started to offer multi-currency accounts, spending cards, and so on. We also had a business proposition as well. Therefore, we, over time, it was obvious that the transfer element to the brand that was attached to the brand It's not that it wasn't resonating to people, right? In the sense that people were familiar to that brand. But we were looking for a brand name that was a bit broader and would have allowed us to have over time quite a lot of product lines. And this is the case today. Today, the company has got, we're basically three companies, right? Like there is Wise Consumer, which is Wise. There's Wise Business, where we offer the product to like freelancer, limited company, and SMEs. And then there is Wise Platform, which is our enterprise product, which basically is Wise offering their payment infrastructure to other banks and payment providers, right? For instance, in the UK, if you are a Monzo customer, some of their international transfer are powered by Wise. So I think that's the how things over time evolved, right? And so then hence the decision to move to that. Obviously, from an SEO standpoint, this is like a sensitive event, right? It's not that we had this situation where our team at first was not as excited about that, not because it wasn't the right thing to do for the customer, because it has got a lot of risk. We have worked together with the rest of the company on this, right, as one of the primary stakeholders. And then over time we planned that switch. It took a while to get to that point. From the moment that we decided to do it to the actual moment where we pulled the trigger. And then the one maybe interesting aspect of how we switched the domain from a technical standpoint is that we phased that. So we didn't have a one-day button press to trigger redirects and do all that kind of stuff. So we almost brought attention on ourselves, in the sense that usually you find out that someone has switched domain after it happened, or maybe after something went wrong. As we announced publicly that we were going to do it, probably a month before this was going to happen. And then first we have put wise.com live with testing of pages, just to make sure that indexing was going to work and so on. Because obviously the stake of redirecting TransferWise was too high to go blind on how this would have gone. Wise.com was a domain parked for multiple years, so we had to test that. The second phase, there was obviously the operation revolving the customer over time using both platforms, so both domain went live. Obviously, Wise.com was not indexed, apart from the homepage, and both domains stayed live for a while. We helped customer transition to the new platform. And the reason why that was essentially is beyond any SEO consideration is that one aspect is SEO traffic and revenue. The other aspect is, I think at the time, around 10 million customers were using Wise on a monthly basis. And we had a significant amount of volume in the billions and of pounds. So it was essential to make sure that money kept flowing. And also our customer didn't add any disruption. They felt safe about using our product and so on. That's how the situation went. And then only after probably 2 to 3 weeks, now don't quote me exactly on the date, but after 2 to 3 weeks, we have pulled the effective redirect, where we basically, indexed the whole Wise.com, we redirected all the pages for TransferWise. And in between there was a test. We tested a redirect in a country on a few folders, just to make sure that the services were not breaking. Probably not the best practice, in the sense that can be a bit tricky to do it, but there was too much at stake on the other services that we had to test this, and then we deployed. I think the main aspect that we got right from a technical standpoint is that we have not changed almost anything on TransferWise.com when it moved to Wise.com. The website moved like for like, exactly the same pages, almost to the letter, exactly the same architecture, same everything, right? We had a bunch of notification to let the customers know that this was happening, to make them feel safe when they were on the second domain. But we didn't cook in the middle of it rebrand. We didn't cook in the middle of it. I mean, a logo color change like we have done in later when we, turn from blue to green, for instance. We have not changed the URL architecture. We have not changed the content. The site stayed exactly the same, just on the new domain. And I think that was the reason why, from like an SEO perspective, that was successful, even though we operated this at a scale that was quite big. Wise was already 1 million of visits. I wish we would have decided to do it when we were only at 1,000 of visits to TransferWise. Have been easier. And the reason why I think it went particularly well, there's been a natural drop early days, but this was barely double digit. It was like recovering well, and within less than a year, I think it recovered completely. Then in the meantime, there have been a few updates, but I think you would call it a success, mostly, I believe, because we have not changed anything but the domain switch, and also that was our condition to the business to execute this, in the sense that the day you cook many changes into a domain redirect is when you don't know which one of the changes didn't go well. So we said, okay, if we're going to do this, our initial recommendation to the business was, why not keeping TransferWise? From a purely SEO perspective, not from any other's angle, because that was the safest option that we had. But then the day that we had consensus from everyone in the business that was a good idea, the condition was that we were going to not change anything but the domain, right? From a content architecture side perspective, right? And and this was also my previous experience when I was working at Ogilvy. We were working mostly on HSBC accounts, re-platforming their website globally. Working with a central team that was basically re-platforming HSBC website, and most of these platform changes, were hard to do or difficult to write through, because in the meantime that we were changing the platform, we were changing URLs, we were deleting a section of the website, we were adding a new section of the website, and then it's hard to, unless you switch it back, similar to, I think someone did switch back a few years ago. WooCommerce, maybe they went to Woo and then came back. There was one company that I think that did a reverse on the domain change, but usually you don't, right? Usually you try to fix what is there. Yeah.
So domain transfers are quite tricky, but I hadn't even thought about when you add in the banking security, the billions of dollars that are transferring, that becomes much more important than just the SEO elements to it. So I was going to ask, I was curious if you could give us a sense of the organic growth you've had. So you joined the team very early. Maybe what were the numbers, if you wouldn't mind sharing, of when you started to maybe where you were at your peak? And are you currently at the peak, or have you seen a decline in organic traffic from AI overviews, from any of the Google updates lately?
So yeah, when I joined, I think we were driving, including even brand, maybe on the less than 100,000 visits a month, probably less than that, maybe 20,000. On the non-brand, very, very small, which maybe for some companies is okay, but in our industry is not a lot. Now we are in the multiple millions, right? Probably, top 50 finance website out there, maybe even a bit higher than that, to be honest. But it's not that I keep checking. And so we drive million of visits to the website these days. And obviously the customer growth has increased, probably tenfold compared to what we were doing early days. Not just SEO, but across all marketing channels, including also our word of mouth growth. And from what's changed in terms of peaking, we had some. There are a few considerations to take in our industry. Our industry has got very interesting seasonality, because it's not just about the seasonality that you would have maybe in some other industry, but also there are macro effects on the economy that can change things. For instance, the American president deciding more or less sane action influence how currency start flowing, influence our customers decide to do with their money. And so we have periods where the volatility of currencies or the demand of the product spikes quite a lot. So I think it's not really, generally we are kind of all-time high in terms of traffic in the last year. So we keep growing overall. If you break down section of the website, there are sections that spike more or less, right? So it's not that we look too much at those spikes sometimes. And then when it comes to AI overview versus not, I think that it depends pretty much on the type of queries. Not all the queries that we operate in are impacted by AI overviews. And these are the ones that generally tend to have more fluctuation and more chunky traffic. And then some of the queries that we do, I think most likely similar to most other websites, is not such a secret. On the editorial side, some of these queries are more impacted by AI overviews. But even there, it's really hard to make an initial call. Actually, even though we have AI overview in certain query types, we have not seen gigantic changes on the performance of those pages. Sometimes yes. So if you would look at our website just by plugging into a tool, it would look that everything is fine. And you don't have to worry about that. Traffic is extremely high. But then, or maybe there's some up and down that is not even AI related. But then if you go deeper, there are some queries that are more or less affected. So yeah, we're not in a situation where maybe some websites have seen their entire web traffic tanking by 40%, 50%, 60%. No, but in the situation, but it's also because wise.com is such a large web portal that is not just about a particular query type, and so it's really hard to basically impact the website as a whole, right? And it's most likely that some area of the website are impacted and so on. Same reason why, if you look at the overall traffic, we have area of the website, I think I shared this not long ago, that we have seen a massive spike and massive drop because of SERP changes, but not related to AI overviews, right? So I think clearly there are areas that are AI overview are impacting quite widely, but then there are areas that for us, and maybe, this is probably the intent of the customer, right? If you are shopping a pair of Adidas shoes, if you are booking a flight, you might want to enter that conversational mode with chat, but maybe you would also browse results on there, right? So I think it depends. But definitely things are changing. Obviously it's quite dramatic what the ability of the various LLM models is to understand content, right? The old, to be honest, Google of 10 years ago with trying to get the value of a page by understanding alpha sentence plus a couple of links and trying to maybe render JavaScript has now been revolutionized quite a bit. In some area, maybe some of the advancement that Google had on JavaScript might even not be that necessary anymore, or maybe too costly to operate, but it's hard to tell. I think is hard to also predict what the business model of all these assistants will be, because the day that you don't have any more the layout of search, you will need to monetize this. Is that we're gonna pay a subscription to have to do search or not, right? It's hard to tell. And then in the short term, we have not been quite vocal about this, that we have decided to monitor quite extensively what's going on. So we are collecting a ton of data. We use LLM aggressively to do stuff and to also train our own LLMs on our content. Probably is very likely that this will happen over time. But in terms of what to optimize for is a bit still unclear. It's hard to make very strong bets on that. I think that people that maybe are seeing some wins is because maybe they're doing it at such a micro scale that is significant to them. But most of the people that I've been speaking to, chat assistant traffic is roughly 1% max to their overall traffic. Obviously, there is an element of people not clicking and coming back to your website directly over time, which is hard to measure, similar to how you would measure paid social ads on Meta, right? But then generally, I think is hard to, commit to a lot of time to do something about it yet, and B, knowing exactly what to do in terms of even the tooling that is coming out these days on understanding your visibility on the various chat assistant. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of them. I'm not sure what to do with it. It's like they're interesting, right? Like we are exploring options. We are curious to see how they operate. But it's hard to commit to that as opposed to maybe justify the effort of improving the experience on a section on our website, improving our depth in one area of content that maybe we don't have so much content, right? The other bit that we have the advantage of at Wise that I keep telling to my teams is that we have, millions of active customers, and these active customers that use every month Wise are the people that need the content that we have created on wise.com and need our calculators, our pages, and need to, engage with this in order to be Wise customer. If one day the distribution from Google will completely disappear, we're not the startup that has to find traction. We can serve those customer, and that's why I'm saying that I've seen a few companies doing it. I think they were mostly using a plugin that kind of use a bit of ChatGPT plus ChatGPT model plus a bit of their content, but they had basically an option to switch to chat mode on any page of their website, and basically the user can chat about what they're looking for rather than Google one by one each query and then go back to your website with this problem, right? So that's definitely something that we are looking at, and actually in some area of the teams is actually going, but beyond that, it's hard to know what the user will do, what the adoption will be as well. Definitely the new generation are more likely to jump on it and not worry on how the model finds the answer. I've seen a teenager asking something bizarre to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT coming back with an even more bizarre solution. And the teenager didn't question that solution. In my view, I would have solved that problem by trying to scrape the data. ChatGPT went into trying to do computer vision, right? Like very interesting, right? So if you don't know how to solve a problem, you are probably more open to whatever solution you get, and you are more likely to use those. Maybe my father, that has been clicking, and late in his life learn how to click on 10 blue links, would miss those 10 blue links, or maybe he won't, right? Like maybe we'll get used to it very quickly and he will forget about the clunky UI that was there before, right? It's really hard to tell. I don't think I would challenge companies to have very strong results at this stage, or very strong operation around it. But clearly, it's something that we have to be on top of it. The risk is that at some point, some of the investment might be not useful. I think that definitely, I spent some time with startups, or I spent some time with companies that we know through our investors or various people, and and some of them are thinking now to approach SEO like we did 10 years ago. In that case, I always put a bit more word of caution on like, be careful before you invest a ton of money into creating a lot of content and doing stuff. Not because you shouldn't be doing it, but because clearly the landscape is very volatile, as opposed to maybe Wise, that the ball is rolling, and it's not that we can pull out of this investment, with like if it is not happening, right? But clearly, the new companies that are thinking about search marketing, they have to probably work with agencies or consultant or internal teams that they leverage LLMs to be really fast at what they're doing, and B, understand really well what the landscape change is going to be, because in that case, they are not, they don't have an existing website with a lot of running traffic. Right? There are some businesses that maybe will lose 30, 40% of traffic, but still the remaining traffic will still justify the investment in the team. Generally, the investment in SEO is a very good investment compared to, any other marketing channel. Even at Wise, the SEO investment is to date, especially on the technical work, is to date the best investment that we have done compared to any other, both organic and paid marketing channel. So, it might be that, even though you lose a little bit of return on that investment, it might still be a quite good idea against maybe doing other type of advertising. Yet maybe the rule changes a bit, and then you have to be slightly more careful, right, on whether you want to go all in into certain query types, in certain search intents that in the past you could have covered, but these days you might not be able to. Maybe it was fair that you were not adding a lot of values, right? Because I don't know, there are websites that tell you what time is it in Mumbai, and are they so valuable, right? Like, is the internet gonna miss them? But then there are many other websites that people have provided a lot of value, right, by doing in-depth research, trying products, reviewing, companies and services, right? So, like there are different aspects where I guess this is gonna impact, right? If the value that you are providing is extremely low, regardless of whether you are the service provider or whether you are a third-party website talking about the service provider, it might be that you're not so needed. But then if you add really value to it, Skyscanner doesn't fly you around. They just recommend you what to do when you want to fly around. Even though there was Google Flights many years ago, they are still here. I still use Skyscanner, and over time I value their service, their product. So I think situations like these are probably not gonna completely disappear, or maybe in some area they will, depending on how the access to data looks like to the services that they offer. It's really hard to tell. Is a very eventful, right?
Yeah.
Like I am, I'm quite excited to see what's going on. I do it with an open mind in the sense that, like 10 years ago, I was just doing SEO. If SEO would have been over, I would have not done anything stupid, but I would have been quite frustrated that my career was completely over. And these days, I work with many teams across growth, and it's interesting to see how the balance in some area is evolving. We are investing a lot on creators in the social space. We are investing in some other avenues, right? Like not even necessarily online. So sometimes, things change, and you have to be there to to witness it, right? And yeah.
Yeah. Well, Fabrizio, as we come towards the end of this show, that's a fascinating insight. It's good to hear that you're excited. I think myself, Nick, many people in the industry, I think there was a lot of scaremongering, 12 months ago feels very different than it does now. I think it's exciting, and there's so much opportunity right for the taking. I'm interested, just before we finish, if you could just quickly tell us if there's anything interesting on the horizon for Wise for us to look out for, and then finally just where people can find you if they want to connect.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of Wise products, is not something that I can necessarily share, but obviously what Wise is doing is growing its footprint globally, right? So we constantly try to expand our market presence. We will grow some product line or some features that right now don't exist. And when it comes to SEO, what we are excited about is or generally marketing. There's a lot of excitement and experimentation with AI agents. By no means we have got to the point where this can replace our teams, but actually any team member, from the most junior person that is executing to the most senior, is trying to think how we can increase automation in our processes and so on, really beyond SEO, to be honest. But obviously SEO is really impacted by this as well. That's an interesting area. I think that the people that will be able to leverage those models and build useful agents will clearly have a lot of superpowers attached to their teams. We still value a lot the real life experience of our team members. We are growing our peoples globally, right? So we are expanding in Asia, in the Americas, and so on, right? So like, if you're looking for a job, definitely we have some jobs out there. But I think that's the interesting bit in terms of like what's cooking in marketing for us, on top of other initiatives that my colleagues are doing. But on my end of the on the spectrum, we are increasing the investment here. How to find me? We used to be on Twitter. Now it's called X, and some people don't like it, but I'm still out there. As you can generally Google Fabrizio Ballarini, you can find me. I'm mostly active on LinkedIn these days. At times I try to do some daily videos on what's cooking in our day to day, but also sometimes I'm really busy. So generally on LinkedIn and Twitter, X now. You can find it. As you can see, the Twitter rebrand didn't work as well as the Wise one, right? I'm still calling it Twitter, but I think we'll get there. Yeah, yeah.
All right, Fabrizio, thanks for coming on. It's been great having you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.